pleasure to speak to all of you today. I have been coming up a few times to talk about different products, and you'll quickly realize what's happening behind me has nothing to do with the words that are coming out of my mouth. I am a person that just likes to shoot off the cuff, and about 80% of it gets me in trouble with HR, and the other 20% will learn a little something. All right, so you're ready to have some fun and learn some science? All right. So my biggest thing is my real passion in life is education. And what I love about education is that once somebody learns something new, it opens up a variety. They look at the world differently. And to me, to see that light hit people's eyes as they have those eureka moments of understanding can never be replaced. And it is exciting for me when that happens of what future things will come from them having that new knowledge. And so what is most important to me is not what is taught, but more importantly, what is learned. And so I'm hoping that you have a little bit of an ability to learn today how you can take control of your health. And that sounds a little weird. That sounds a little bit like a crazy little marketing slogan. But think about it. Think about the opportunity that you have to finally take control of the thing that we have for years and years, for generations and generations, people have thrown up to the stars of destiny for whatever my health may prevail, to realize that you inherently have much of that control in everyday decisions. So, as Darren said, I'm a scientist. I got a PhD in biomedical sciences from Harvard. I got a Nobel laureates on my committee. I'd like to say it was me that they got the Nobels. That's far from the truth, but I'll ride the coattails regardless. And it's been a fun adventure. Shortly after I graduated with a PhD in biomedical sciences, I was lucky enough, I did it about half the time it takes a typical student. I like to think it's because I'm exceptionally intelligent. They reminded me it's because I'm exceptionally annoying. They pushed me through. So it was a wonderful experience. And I remember as I was getting ready to defend my thesis, and I'm sitting there in Jack Shostak. Anybody remember when the Nobel Prize in 2011? All right, I'm the only nerd here. Getting high school flashbacks. Okay, I'll sit by myself at lunch tomorrow. But in that scenario, he's sitting on my committee. And here I am defending at 3.5 years when it usually takes 7 years. And I have a wife and 3 children. Are you kidding me? A wife and 3 children as you're going through graduate school? Right? I'm supposed to be smart. What guy does that? Right? And he says, he's like, why are you graduating so quickly? You have a wife and 3 children. And what he looked at as an excuse to delay, I looked at as a motivation to succeed. And at that moment, when he asked me that question and I responded, it's not in spite of them, it's because of them that I'm able to graduate so quickly. It taught me the power of perspective. It taught me the power of community and achieving things that I, for the most part, could never have achieved by myself. And because of that, it led me to this industry. I do believe that the power of community has the ability to take an everyday individual and to bring out to an incredible potential they never knew. And this isn't just in motivational speaking, but also in health. So an example that I like to give to people is how many of us have had a walking group? We don't want anyone been a part of a walking group, right? My wife is a part of a walking group, and she structures everything around that walking group. She'll get up early. She's never gotten up early in her 23 years of marriage, right? But now that she has a walking group, she's up before the alarm at 5 a.m. She meets her friends and she goes walking for multiple miles every morning with them. Now here's the irony. Do you know how many treadmills we have bought that are just us? And the difference is both deliver the powerful benefit of walking, but one has only created a lifestyle change that has not only given her the benefit of walking, but also a variety of other happiness index levels have gone up. And what that tells me is that the single act of walking can have a multiple effect in a community versus isolation. No matter how close you bring that sidewalk to you via a treadmill, it will never deliver the benefit of a community walking together. And I'm looking out right here. What a beautiful community this is. So why am I saying this? I feel so bad for Ryan. He's up back there operating the slides. I have no idea what's going right there, right? But in this, the reason that I love this is because right now I'm going to talk a little bit about our jaws and the mechanism by which they work. So first of all, before I get into some technical words, I want you to all understand something. Have we all had those moments to where we have been startled? Or maybe somebody honks the horn at us. We're verging into a lane and we don't see the person, and we swerve back. What's that initial response? Do we actually ever think to swerve, or is it an instinctual response? It's largely instinctual. We just swerve out of that danger. Now, have you ever noticed right after you swerve out, what's happening? All of a sudden you get cold sweats, your heart's racing. You feel the sweat coming. You feel your child in the back, and he's just saying, Mom, and you, right? You are at a level of absolute stress that your body is instinctually put in. We call that the fight or flight response. We've all been in that, right? We've all experienced those moments. I have 4 children. I live in those moments. Right? We call that 9 to 5 for most of us based upon our jobs. That fight or flight response, you notice how something in the environment triggered us, and it caused a wave of physiological reactions that were largely out of our control. Individuals who take these drugs talk about them being hormone balancing. That's true. Right? But let's go a little further back. What causes those hormones to be out of whack? And how would something as a few drops before dinner time, lunchtime, and breakfast balance it? Well, in today's world, our minds are largely being sought after as an uncharted or undiscovered land where it's constantly being poked and prodded for its attention. The easiest way to get our attention is more or less a metaphorical honking of the horn as we are veering out of our lane. Our boss sending us the email, the chime hitting our phone. That's right, Darren. Those 10 p.m. emails, they send a fight or flight response to me. I've been here only 30 days. That ding on your phone. What happens when it dings? It's a little bit like you're veering out of that track. Alright? Or what happens is that you're trying to get your children hurrying out for school and they're running late and they're talking about their shoe. Your body is put into that fight or flight. Today's environment has created us to where we are living in that fight or flight consistently. We talked about before at the extreme level, it's causing that physiological response to the sweat to happen, and cortisol goes up. And when that cortisol goes up, your blood sugar is released. Your body is releasing as much blood sugar as it can so that your body has as much energy to run from whatever danger it might be. We go back in time 10,000 years ago, that danger may have been a grizzly bear. You don't have those here. That danger may have been a dingo. Right? Actually, let's be a little bit more practical. The danger may have been a rattlesnake, right? You have rattlers? No. You have every other poison except for the 2 I mentioned. No. But in that scenario, as it's coming at you, you have now a flood of glucose in your blood that is giving you extra incredible speed to outrun the slow-moving tarantula. Did I get that one right? There we go. No? I'm crocodile. All right, there we go. I'm trying not to be cliche. I just got to go back to the cliche. But in today's world, sadly, as that is happening, we're not outrunning a crocodile. We're merely responding to an email. That excess blood sugar now is causing a wave of adipose tissue and insulin responses that is left in a situation, it's a caged beast. And now it is manifesting itself in a variety of other ways. Oh, what an unhealthy state to be in. Now, the contrast to that fight or flight response, we call that the sympathetic pathway. Now, in this, you also have the other extreme. The parasympathetic, we call this the rest and digest. That sounds pleasurable, right? Rest and digest? Well, this is just as painful. A lot of you may not understand how it
many of you had nothing to do on a Saturday except maybe the dishes? That's the only chore you have. And you're sitting there on the couch and it's 10 o'clock in the morning, you're like, oh, I have to use the dishes. 6 minutes. 11 o'clock. The dishes. 12. The dishes. 1. And it's there all day. And that 6 minutes becomes the most overwhelming task that all of a sudden the inertia that is required to get you to do the most minuscule task never appears to happen. That rest and digest is just as difficult to live in. Ironically, I have a 17-year-old right now who seems to be stuck in that from the age of 13 that rest and digesting. Now, both of these are instinctual responses that are meant as for our survival. But sadly, the environment that we all live in, the society we live in, has evolved faster than our instinctual responses. This instinctual response is largely part of what they call the reptilian brain. The reason they call it the reptilian brain is because everything from lizards on up have it. It's at the very center of our brain that causes our body to respond in this way. Now, as we evolve, you develop this front part of your brain. That's called the prefrontal cortex. That prefrontal cortex is where creativity lives. It is where executive decision-making happens. It is the part of the brain that gives us the ability to struggle in the moment, knowing we can reap greater rewards in the future. It is this part of our brain that has largely made us different from any other people in the world. It is this part of the brain that evolved that gave us the foresight to plant a crop today, knowing we can harvest in 6 months. I have a wonderful lab, God. It cannot plan more than 2 seconds in front of it, right? That is largely the animal kingdom is moving based upon instinct. That prefrontal cortex, the ability to think, to be creative, sadly, is lost because we are simply stuck in our instinctual responses. The dings of the phone, the comfort of the couch, pull us in both extremes, not allowing us to be who we inherently are, to be who we are uniquely. This part. And that's sad. Now, the reason that this is so important is because when this part of the brain is attacked, all of a sudden a meal becomes much more than a meal. A meal is not something that you instinctually, right? Instinctually, if I'm in that fight or flight, the food in front of me is nothing more than energy that I need to consume as much of so that I can fight off the warning crocodile. You crave inherently more simple sugars because they're faster to metabolize. You are in a state of consumption without any forethought. What we are looking here is when you are in this ability to where you're activating that prefrontal cortex part of your brain, you are now in a stage where the meal is elevated. We've had those moments. Maybe we spend a little bit more time cooking the meal. We're sitting down with our loved ones, sharing laughs, enjoying it together, and savoring the different flavors that are there. Isn't it unique how that same experience, when it is in that fight or flight state, quickly devolves into nothing more than mass consumption, quickly, with an absence of conversation about those around us. Now, the reason that I'm saying this is because when we think back to our blood sugar being high, which is largely caused by our hormones being elevated, a variety of our different hormones being elevated, what's causing those? And it is that autonomic nervous system response. And when we can remove ourselves from that instinctual response and we then become who we are, the meal is elevated, we are now craving less sugary foods. We are eating to know we are full. Those hormones that are signaling us to be full
the leptins of the world we're responding better to. The ghrelins of the world that are telling us that we're hungry are no longer being produced unless we are inherently hungry. The stress that is causing those hormones to be released, the insulin for our bodies to respond to them, is no longer being elevated. And we have now become us, a rarity in today's world. And so the best part about these drops is they are utilizing a variety of different botanicals called adaptogens and utilizing them in the proper way. Taking these drops 10 minutes before a meal allows our body to begin to pull ourselves out of that state that we have been forced into by the world around us, and to be us. And what was nothing more than a gas station of energy now becomes a meal of community. And it is a beautiful thing. And so when people talk, why did I come to Partner Club? It's because it is the ability for a community of individuals to come together. I know of no other organization that allows such a dynamic group of individuals to be who they inherently should be, but yet still form a powerful community. And utilizing these drops for those 10 minutes gives us an incredible experience. Now in our life, we're like, oh, wouldn't it be great if we just take it once a day? The body metabolizes. You know what metabolizes means? It means it utilizes. It breaks it down. It pulls the energy out of it, so to speak. And it's used. We don't eat just once a day. We don't breathe once a day. Our heart just doesn't do one good pump. Say, I'm done for the day. Our body is in continuous life. Now, if we are able to develop something in the future that lasts a whole day, that's great. But nature, unfortunately, yields a metabolic thing that requires more frequent. So utilizing this 10 minutes before your meal will set you in a state that allows you to be you for that meal. Putting you in context where you're like, oh, that second brownie, maybe I should. It doesn't taste as good as it once did. I really don't need it. I'm feeling full. I'm engaging in the conversation with my loved one. The flavor is still more rich. Come lunch, those adaptogens would largely be metabolized. Taking it again before lunch gives us that second opportunity. And again for dinner. Now, combining this with the night drops, you take this about 2 hours before you go to bed. Good luck. This is a little bit more. It's not like saying it's 2 hours and close your eyes. Right? I'll take it about 90 minutes, and then it's usually I'm doing one of these. The last thing I would encourage you to do is say, I'll say, okay, come on, 90 more, 30 more minutes. Allow your body to go. So take it about 2 hours before you go to bed. What you're doing is you are allowing your body to not necessarily go to sleep faster, but get higher quality sleep. Sleep is one of the best things that you can do for your body. The reason is this is actually in the different parts of the brain that are communicating through different ways. As we talk about this, as our brain is being hijacked by all the different things in our environments today, that time for sleep is very critical. It's allowing the different regions of our brain to communicate with each other. It's allowing these problems that have been ruminating into our subconscious to be then thought about in that light, looked at for different ways of solving those problems. Additionally, it calibrates the stresses that we may have had. I have a 12-year-old daughter, and right now the most stressful thing in her life is finding a shoe that matches her pants perfectly. In my mind, that's irrational. Why are you stressing about that? But to her, it's exceptionally important. And the importance of sleep is that what it does is it calibrates the mind and helps put it all into perspective. And that allows your body to then respond. Individuals, that's why we find ourselves more irritable without sleep. We haven't calibrated our stress response to those around us. And so now, because you're able to get higher quality sleep, those parts of the brain are more effectively communicating with each other. We're getting greater collaboration to the different islands inside, allowing us to be a better part of our community
to be more creative and more fulfilled. So when we talk about these drops being balanced, really what it's doing is it's pulling those two extremes that the world has us in, bringing us to that center spot, bringing us together to who we are, allowing us to get that better sleep, to be more collaborative than instigated, and to be ideally who we always wanted to be. So when we look at these drops, I absolutely love them. Not because it changes us, but because it allows us to be us. And so I want to encourage each and every one of you, as we look at these drops, to understand the real power that they have. And when individuals talk about the weight loss that they have seen, that it's not doing anything magical other than allowing you to be the weight that your body has always wanted to be. And as individuals talk about their hormones being balanced, it's not doing anything magical than allowing your body to do what it's always wanted to do. And as people talk about how a variety of different benefits have come from this, it simply boils down to allowing your body to be what it has always been striving to be, but it's unfortunately in a world that has not allowed it to be so. And so if there's one thing that I recommend, find these drops, utilize them like you've never utilized them before. 10 minutes before the meal, make it a commitment. Give it to yourself for 30, 60, 90 days and look back and see not only have you maybe improved your body composition, but also maybe relationships with food, maybe relationships with others, and relationships with yourself. So with that, thank you very much. I'll be back with this. Dr.